So that is the answer. But this is like, I think it perpetuates this myth of how rich white people make their money, right? Like this idea that this white dude is sitting here saying, well, anybody who has made their money hasn't done it by making these volatile decisions, blah blah blah. No, rich white people who make their money were born into it. That's how they made their money. Most of them, with the exceptions of these new crypto millionaires, but even them, they had to have the resources to create their digital currencies. And we're not talking about your typical laptop that you can buy from Best Buy. They had to have a serious kind of mining tech a laptop. I mean, so there's this idea that this is just perpetuating the idea, this rugged individualism, meritocracy. You know, people in America who are rich got it by working hard and making smart decisions with their money, and that's all a lie. That it even wealthy people who uh, invest, they do, and I think there have been studies shown to prove this. People with a lot of money invest and they make more money by making higher risk investments, but they're rich, so they can afford to lose money. They don't miss it. And they when when an investment turns back in their favor, then they make up for their losses usually. But I mean, I also feel like just the juxtaposition of the dude who is playing craps, rolling the dice to make money for his business. How is that really different from hoping that the stock market is going to work out for you? It's not.
No, but it's
It's
not. But
the
the
same
point,
thing. It's a
the
crap
point of
game.
that in the commercial is to emphasize that it's black ignorance and financial illiteracy that causes black poverty. And that's why the white man is actually saying to him. That I'm glad we played it again. I mean, to refresh my memory, he's saying to him, if you just knew how to compound this and invest that, you do better. Invest in yourself, diversify. Don't make these big bets. Don't da 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 da, as if that's the reason for the failure and the
Mm-hmm.
inequality. That to me is the
Yeah, as opposed to talking through, and obviously that commercial is not going to do it. But white wealth was based on government handouts, like the person
That's
in the
right.
chat said.
That's right.
Land giveaways, right? Resource giveaways, oil companies, right? Research and development money, direct handouts. Healthcare systems make their money because colleges get money from the government, make discoveries, and they hand that shit back out to the private. The internet is a public resource that was given out to private companies. The wealth, middle class whites, right? The GI Bill, public housing, welfare, all constructed to give them a leg up. People didn't make the roads, the bridges, all of that. All of that is coming from government coffers. You know what I'm saying? So
look.
people may make some back dollars, obviously, once you done got some money, and there's always one individual capitalist you can point to. But even that, right? Where they get their money from the labor they've exploited. The profits they make is from what they don't pay their workers. So there's nothing about this that's about these individual folks trying to big up themselves or how they made it and so forth. You got Elon Musk on there talking about giving us this capitalist rundown about how smart he is. Diamond mine or emerald mine, whatever the fuck it was. He lived in
Mm-hmm.
a system of South Africa apartheid, even if his family never had a mine. He lived in a system of exploitation of apartheid where he got to go to certain schools. He had help, right? He got, I mean, black help in the household. He lived in a system of inequality and inequity, and he's got the nerve to come out here and start bragging about how he made it on his own.
And then he stole from Tesla, stole
Right.
from the PayPal folks. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's full of shit from top to bottom. And then, by the way, so I just pulled it up here. In 2013, the top 1% of households had 49.8% of all privately held stock,
Jesus.
54.7% of financial securities, and 62.8% of business equity. The top
Mm.
10% had 84% to 94% of stocks, bonds, trust funds, and business equity, and almost 80% of non home real estate. So what the hell are you supposed to invest in if you're not rolling the dice? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You might as well. That's what I'm saying. It's like you might as well join an organization, make it more radical, and get political power, and say any money that gets made, we get a cut. That's my shortest solution because I'm like this other shit about invest and be smarter and
Mm-mm.
is complete nonsense.
Is this the way to get you a little bit of like the I mean, there's other folks who made money the straight old fashioned capitalist way, exploiting people to get their money, give your money over to them. You stay poor, they get rich. The snake oil salesman. That's all this. This is in a tradition of that. How can I get the whatever little money that you do got? How do I get that up in my hands? And that that's what these folks. These folks are selling. They're selling dreams, financial literacy. If I it's
Yeah,
It's just wild. Like when you deep how much wealth that regular white people have. What is the average household wealth for black folks? It's like $1,000? Like most black people have what, 500, $1,000 on hand compared to 10,000, or is it 100,000 that
oh,
most
it's well
whites?
over 100 for wealth. The household is like 130 for white, and like it depends on how you read, but like somewhere between 6 and 11,000 for black people. That's in terms of the total value of everything that they own.
Yeah, that's not like
But
cash.
but nobody has $500. White people too. Like those studies that were saying, nobody even has $500 in their account for an emergency
But
if
it's
they
wild.
needed it.
Like
So
one of my
yeah.
good friends is white, and I would consider them a very regular white person. They come from a two-parent household. Their parents were one of them worked for the government, the other one was a first responder, public servant, or whatever. Regular ass white folks, right? The amount of money that they can put their hands on compared to the amount of money my mom and I can put our hands on, it's 10 to 1 easily. And these are not wealthy people, but just because of the whiteness and the access of the resources that whiteness affords them. I mean, they got way more shit than us. I mean, and again, not wealthy white people, not born into wealth, but I see how they're able to accumulate because their child had their undergraduate paid for. They didn't have to take out any loans or anything. The parents paid for car insurance, paid for bills like the first 5 years out of school. And I'm like, this is how you're able to save 30 and 40 and $50,000 because you're not paying for anything. Like your parents are paying for everything. And that is a lot of white people's experience. I know so few black people who have
This is
who
why
have
they so
that
mad now. This is
access.
why they so mad now. They're so because they feel the crumbling happening. The Great Recession, the last 40 or 50 years of deindustrialization, they're feeling that the taking away of healthcare. They're like, wait a minute, that's not reserved for us. That's supposed to happen to the mother folks. You know what I mean? And again, it's not even like it's about white folks being rich, but like you said, well off enough to whereas they can go to aunt this one or mama that one or whatever that one, and they can get some racks and keep themselves going. A lot of that is disappearing. But who do they blame for that?
Obama.
That's why in
Via us.
2018, and that's why in 2018, before the pandemic, the military was doing war games, and they explained the reason they were doing war games in preparation was because the Generation Z was going to be in rebellion when they realized there was nothing for them. That was literally the military's response. Like, don't redistribute the money they keep giving us, but use that money to prepare to suppress any, because these white kids are going to be upset. That's what they would like. These white kids have been promised everything. Their parents had everything, and they're not going to get the same thing, and it's going to be a problem.